For the third time in history, NASCAR returns to the second city. The past two editions were hampered with a torrential downpour from Mother Nature. Is third time the charm? Well, it could be a big charm for some drivers trying to save their season or possibly their career. It's 2.2 miles of hold your breath excitement because there is absolutely no room for error. One small mistake and your day, possibly your chances of making the playoffs, are in the barriers. Welcome to downtown Chicago as MDK RaceDay presents for the third and potentially final time the running of the Grant Park 165. Here in Chicago, Illinois. Here in downtown Chicago, the past 2 years, like I mentioned, it has been met with a torrential downpour. Today, it is looking a bit better that we could possibly get a clean race in today. Green flag is scheduled for 2:25 p.m. Eastern Time on TNT, True TV, and as well on Max. But the weather, temperature going to be in the high 70s, very cloudy conditions with a 40% chance of rain, but there's also a good chance of thunderstorms that are happening in the next hour after the green flag at around 3 p.m. Eastern Time. A lot of wind, around 20 miles an hour wind gusts through the racetrack, wind as high as 13 miles an hour northwest through the racetrack with the high humidity of 82%. So it's going to be hot, muggy, and it's going to be a very interesting day here of racing in downtown Chicago. And welcome everyone back to episode of MDK RaceDay. My name is Jet. Hope I'm having a wonderful day as we welcome you for the third and, like I said, potentially final time NASCAR racing in the streets of Chicago. Now, last Sunday, or I should say last Saturday night at Atlanta, completely changed a lot of things. Changed a lot of things with the playoff grid, changed a lot of things with the in-season challenge we will get into. So let's not waste any time and jump right into it. Chase Elliott takes home his second career win here at Atlanta Motor Speedway last Saturday night after a thrilling, exciting race. And with that, jumps up 3 spots now to take over the second place position ahead of his teammate Kyle Larson, 37 points behind William Byron. So HMS first, second, and third. Hamlin drops 1 spot to 4th. Bell drops a spot to 5th. Tyler Reddick gains a spot over Ryan Blaney, who stays in 7th. Ross Chastain in 8th place remains there, minus 173. Chris Buescher jumps up 2 spots back inside the top 10, 1 point behind Chastain at minus 174. And Chase Briscoe falls back to 10th once again, sitting at minus 179. Now the playoff grid is looking a bit different. Chase Elliott becoming the 12th different winner here in the 2025 season. Now there are 4 more spots up for grabs with 8 races remaining. Tyler Reddick, the only driver that is safe at the moment at plus 128, still has a 2 race gap above the cut line. Chris Buescher just underneath a race gap at plus 52. Bowman jumps a spot at plus 39. Unfortunately, with Bubba Wallace with his wreck here at Atlanta and multiple accidents last Saturday night, he now falls to 16th, holding the final spot 23 points ahead of Ryan Preece. Eric Jones in 18th, minus 49. AJ Allmendinger minus 59, and Carson Hocevar rounds out the top 20, minus 62 points below the cut line. Busch, the official beer of NASCAR, proud sponsor of the Busch Light Pole Award, given to the fastest driver at each NASCAR Cup Series event. Busch Light congratulates Shane Van Gisbergen for his 3rd career Cup Series pole and his 33rd career start. It's his first pole since Mexico City just a few weeks ago, and the first pole of his career in the Cup Series here at Chicago. He wins with a speed of 88.338 miles per hour, and since 2020, Busch Beer has invested more than $50 million, becoming a premier sponsor of the NASCAR Cup Series. So here's a look at the starting lineup for the 2025 Grant Park 165 from the Chicago Street Course. Shane Van Gisbergen on pole, but in dominating fashion, nearly half a second faster than Michael McDowell in second place, who won at the Indy Road Course in 2023, I believe. Carson Hocevar in row 2, an excellent qualifying position for him, starts alongside Tyler Reddick, who finished second here last year. Row 3 has Chase Briscoe in the number 19 Toyota. Alongside him is Kyle Busch, who actually has one of the best average finishers here at Chicago. One of only 3 drivers that has finished in the top 10 in both Chicago races. Row 4, great run for Ryan Preece and teammate Chris Buescher from the RFK stable. With around the top 10 is Ty Gibbs, also another one of the best here at Chicago. Most of him is a surprising 10th place qualifying result from Austin Dillon. Good job, number 3. Row 6 has Alex Bowman, the defending Chicago race winner. Alongside him is Joe Logano, the 2024 Cup Series champion. Row 7 has Christopher Bell and Kyle Larson, 2 young guns, both with great cars, great shots in winning here today. Row 8 has Brad Keselowski. Alongside him is AJ Allmendinger, another road course guy to watch out for. Row 9 has Ryan Blaney in the 12th car, and Daniel Suarez, who entered Chicago looking for a ride. It was announced earlier this week that he will not return to Trackhouse Racing after the 2025 campaign. So he's going to have to look for a job, and hopefully he can start with a win, or at the very least a good result here in Chicago that could open some opportunities for him. With round of the top 20 is from down under, from Australian Supercars, Will Brown, back in the NASCAR Cup Series, driving for Colleague in the number 13 Chevrolet. Alongside him is Todd Gillen in the 34 ride. Row 11 has rookie Riley Herbst. Alongside him is Ross Chastain in the 1 ride. Row 12 has Cole Custer. Alongside him is Noah Gragson. John Nemechek and Zane Smith make up row 13. Austin Cindric and Justin Haley row 14, with Josh Berry and Austin Hill return to the 33 stable, rounding out the top 30. Josh Bilicki in 31st position starts alongside Ricky Stenhouse Jr. About Catherine Legg, even after getting to the wall a couple times during practice and qualifying, makes it into the show. Here in that number 78 Elf Chevrolet, alongside him is Eric Jones, Cody Ware alongside Ty Dillon. And look at this, look at these big names are starting in the back. Bubba Wallace was fastest in practice, but just could not get a qualifying start to save his life. Spun a couple times during his qualifying run. He starts alongside William Byron, who hit the wall during his qualifying run. And rounding out the 40 car lineup is Chase Elliott, who also hit the wall. He's starting at the rear. And Denny Hamlin, who didn't even post a qualifying lap, nor even a practice lap if I'm not mistaken, due to him having an engine failure extremely early into his qualifying run. So there are 6 drivers that are going to the rear for this race, all 4 Hendrick cars. It's been a while since we've seen that happen last time. So Elliott, Larson, Byron, and Bowman, and 2 drivers, Ty Dillon and Denny Hamlin. They'll also be starting at the rear. Hamlin was already starting at the back of the field, but Ty Dillon also starting at the rear due to him also getting some damage during qualifying. And the one driver that did not make the field for this race was Corey Hyman, the 67 Toyota, after he hit the wall and broke a toe link during his qualifying run, and as a result was not able to qualify for this race. Here's a look at the odds to win here at Chicago. It is no surprise that the pole sitter and 2023 race winner Shane Van Gisbergen sitting at plus 125, Tyler Reddick at 650, McDowell at 700, and Gibbs at 800. So then some big name drivers with some pretty good odds. Abel at 1100, Elliott at 1600, Larson and Bowman, teammates sitting at 1800. Chris Buescher and William Byron all sitting at 2,000. Busch, Briscoe, and Allmendinger, drivers either A, have great records here at Chicago, or B, are really good on the road courses. Big odds for them at plus 2,800. Carson Hocevar 3,000. Ross Chastain 4,500. Logano at 5,000. Suarez and Priest at 6,000, with Will Brown at 7,000. And rounding out is Ryan Blaney at a whopping plus 9,000. Alright, so now let's take a look at the in-season challenge matchups. After the lap 69 crash at Atlanta, the took out 21 race cars has completely flipped the ISC bracket all over. The big names like Hamlin, Logano, Chastain, they're all out. All are out. Let's take a look at the 16 drivers that are still remaining. So 16 drivers, 8 matchups. Here is what they are heading into Chicago later today. So we first start off with Chris Buescher and fellow Ford driver Zane Smith, then Chase Elliott and John Hunter Nemechek, Ty Gibbs and AJ Allmendinger. That will be a very hot matchup as both are great road course drivers. Ty Gibbs, one of the best here in Chicago. Then Alex Bowman and Bubba Wallace, both are pretty evenly stacked up. They're about 16 or so points separated in the point standings. Both have had very similar results this season. Bowman is the defending race winner. Bowman and Wallace have had contact. If you remember last year where Bubba Wallace was taken out by Alex Bowman off of turn number 2, and then after the cooldown lap when Bowman won the race, Bubba showed his displeasure by sideswiping Alex under the cooldown lap. Ryan Priest and Noah Gragson, Brad Keselowski, and the guy that beat your favorite driver in Ty Dillon, Eric Jones and Ricky Stenhouse Jr., and finally Tyler Reddick and Carson Hocevar. That's also going to be a pretty big matchup considering Carson is always generating headlines. Tyler Reddick is also one of the best here at Chicago, and Carson, he's starting in 3rd place, so very good result for him there. So that should be a hot matchup there. But in terms of the drivers that I think are going to be advancing, let's head back to the bracket. The drivers I think will be advancing, first off, I think it's going to be Chris Buescher. I think he is the much better driver. He's much better than Zane Smith overall on everything in terms of speed, road courses, all that stuff. Next up, Chase Elliott. Unless something dramatic happens, Chase Elliott will be John Nemechek to advance. The third one with Gibbs and Allmendinger, it's a bit tricky because I do feel like both have a really good shot at it, but I'm going to give the advantage to Ty Gibbs. He's been having a lot of speed as of late. I like Gibbs advancing. Out of Bowman and Bubba, I'm going to side with Bowman. I would if Bubba wasn't starting in basically the back of the field. That does worry me in terms of if he can get up to the front, but because of that, I feel like I'm going to side with Alex Bowman. Ryan Priest and Gragson, I'm going to go with Priest. Gragson, we know him in Chicago, they don't go too well, and Priest always has the ability to just be there when it matters most. Out of Keselowski and Ty Dillon, I'm going to play Ty Dillon. I know Ty Dillon's starting at the back, but I feel like we're gonna get one upset. We're gonna get an upset here, and I feel like Ty Dillon will advance into round 3, still with the shot at winning this challenge. I just feel like out of these matchups, somebody is going to be an upset, and I think it's going to be Ty Dillon. Out of Eric Jones and Ricky Stenhouse Jr., I'm going to side with Eric Jones, and out of Tyler Reddick and Carson Hocevar, I'm going to side with Tyler Reddick. So those are the drivers I think will be advancing: Buescher, Elliott, Gibbs, Bowman, Priest, Ty Dillon, Eric Jones, and Tyler Reddick. And now it's time for my favorite portion of the show: make the call. Again, pretty self-explanatory. Every week I post, I make a discussion post on my YouTube page, basically telling me your thoughts on what you think is going to happen from fantasy live picks, whatever the case may be, odds, whatever. What do you think is going to happen here in Chicago? Now, there were a lot of people that were basically talking about rain. Rain is either going to be a factor. Rain is going to shorten the events. Jonathan Zorlin, sorry if I mispronounced that name, he was one of those people that basically said that this race is not going to go the scheduled distance. He said, I see this race not going to the advertised distance for the third year in a row. Crazy how rain has affected this race the first 2 years. Yeah, now the weather, again, the weather is weird. Yes, we are starting this race at 2 o'clock, 2:30 p.m. Eastern time, basically is when the race will begin. And at that time, it will be cloudy conditions. A lot of wind gusts throughout the city, but it would be cloudy conditions, high temperatures, high humidity. As we get into that next hour, at 3 o'clock or so, there is a chance for scattered thunderstorms. Now, I don't believe it's going to be as horrible as it was last year, where last year was imminent, or the year prior where it was imminent, we will get rain. This year, the chances of it are not as high. There is a chance we could get through this race cleanly without maybe some rain, maybe some sprinkles, but there's a chance we can get through this race clean. But yeah, it is crazy how every time we come here is always rain, always rain. But hopefully, I pray it's the third, probably the last time. I hope we can end it on a clean bang. Elite Precision 29, what's up, man? He is joining on the call. He says, if it rains the whole race, I could see Ty Dillon beating Brad Keselowski when it comes to the in-season tournament. People overlook Ty ability racing in the rain. He's pretty damn good at it. Yeah, and again, I feel like with Ty, I don't know, Ty is weird in a good way. There are times where he is just in the back of the pack, not being contention at all. Then there are other times you look at the running order and he's up mixing with the top 15 drivers. And I do believe that if we do get rain, even at some points, it doesn't even have to be the whole race, but if at some points we could get rain, it could flip the entire picture of the in-season challenge as well as the race. I mean, we've seen drivers, big name drivers, lose it. I mean, Kyle Larson was running what, in the top 5, where he lost it during that long straightaway, heading to that left-hander in turn 6, I believe, where he lost it and bam, ran into the tire barriers, and that was a big name driver. I mean, we could see, if it rains, big names or even a driver like Brad Keselowski potentially lose it, go into the barriers, whatever the case may be. So if it does rain, doesn't have to be for the whole race, but if it does rain, it can completely change the playoff, or I should say the playoff picture, but just the racing in general for a lot of drivers. Pepsi Racing says Alex Bowman because the 13th different Cup Series winner of 2025 Sunday. Yeah, okay, Bowman, he hasn't shown the speed, I think, to win this race. But again, I mentioned with the rain, the way how it worked out fell into Bowman's favor. Now, that's only if it rains. I think the only way Alex Bowman's going to win this race, or at least has a shot, is if it rains. If not, there are too many contenders that I think are much better than him. I look at SVG, I look at Tyler Reddick, I look at Michael McDowell, I look at Ty Gibbs. Hell, we can even throw in some outliers like, Carson Hocevar, Chris Buescher, another driver, underrated. I think we don't mention a lot of him on road course, but he's insanely good. So it's a possibility, but I think that's a very small chance of that happening. Brendan Colvin, he says, we will have a driver deep in the playoff standing, find a way to win because of rain, and they played it right. So when we look at drivers that are deep in the playoff grid, I look at Michael McDowell. I look at Ty Gibbs, who's now currently 24th in the point standings. Hell, you could look at even a Daniel Suarez, not too shabby on the road courses. Again, if things kind of work out in their favor, he's right now running 29th in points. Yeah, it will be very difficult. I think the only driver that has the best odds, I think, is Ty Gibbs. Michael McDowell, he's, I won't say deep in the standings, but we can throw him in as well. But I think only McDowell or Ty Gibbs has like real legit shots of winning this race, considering their track record here, not on Chicago, but on street courses. But again, if it does rain, anything can happen, basically. And finally, not Matty DYT says, I think SVG will be a major threat to get his second win unless he gets screwed over like last year. Yeah, last year he had the best car until I think he either just drove wide and hit the wall, or I don't know what issue he had, but he was out of the race due to a crash. Yeah, definitely. If SVG has no issues, he will 100% be a major threat to win this race, and he probably could win this race. I mean, we saw what he did yesterday in the Xfinity Series. I mean, he won pole by nearly half a second over Michael McDowell. That is insane. And keep in mind, after Michael McDowell, drivers were kind of separated by a tenth or so. So to go from a tenth to that nearly half a second is a huge gap. So yeah, unless something major happens, SVG will for sure be the biggest threat. It will be SVG versus everybody else. But yeah, like I said, when it comes with the storylines with this race, the big factor is, of course, the weather. Will it rain? Will it stay sunny? The different track conditions, how will that affect the drivers? How will that affect the race? Could we see another instance where we see the race be shortened? I don't know, but there is a lot of things to talk about, a lot of storylines to talk about with just the weather itself, and how, like I said many times, it could completely flip the entire race. And drivers that maybe are on the bottom behind, below the cut line, they could definitely see a massive gain if it rains, and it could play out in their favor. Also in terms of drivers in the IC Challenge. But when it comes to the drivers, like I said, you look at SVG. You have to look at SVG. You also got to look at, like I said, Michael McDowell and Ty Gibbs. They have the best average finish out of all active drivers with a 6.0. In fact, Michael McDowell, Ty Gibbs, and Kyle Busch are the only 3 drivers to finish in the top 10 in both Chicago starts, which the Kyle Busch really surprised me. So, hey, he's another driver. And, I mean, when you look at where Kyle Busch is starting, I mean, he's starting in the 6th position. So, Chicago is a very underrated course for that number 8 team. Do they have a shot at winning this race? Probably not, but definitely can have a good shot at getting some stage points and having a good finish if everything goes their way in order to get back in the points hunt to make it into the top 16 for the playoffs. You also got to look at McDowell and Gibbs being favorites, not only because of their history, but also entering this race. They were both fastest in the 10 lap averages. So they have brought speed in the short run in terms of qualifying, but also over a good period of time in that 10 lap average. And it's also going to be interesting to see the drivers from the back. I mean, we mentioned the big names, all 4 Hendrick cars starting at the back, including Denny Hamlin. Those are some huge names. Denny Hamlin's basically going to be starting this race cold because he hadn't really gotten a lap or so on his car without having something happen. So he's going to be going into this race basically blind, and seeing those 4 Hendrick cars is going to be very fun, especially drivers like Larson and Elliott, what they can do coming from the back of the field. You also got to look at a guy like maybe Bubba Wallace. The reason why I mentioned him is that even though he's starting at the back, if you look at how he ran in practice, was very good, was fastest in practice, and was 3rd fastest in the 10 lap average. So that 23 has something. There's speed in that 23 ride. Will that translate to Sunday? I don't know, but again, there are a lot of big names in the back of the pack that should make it a very fun event. Not only to see what can happen up front, if we could see anybody challenge SVG, but I've also seen those big name drivers if they can make their way up to the front from the back. Let's take a look at my Fantasy Live lineup. It is no surprise, since we're at a road course, I'm going to pick the best road course drivers. I got SVG, I got Tyler Reddick, Chase Elliott, Ty Gibbs, Michael McDowell, and I got Chris Buescher in my lineup. Again, Chris Buescher, I feel like we don't mention a lot about him being one of the best on road courses, and somehow RFK Racing, maybe outside of Brad Keselowski, they always find a way to be there at the end of things. And just in case, one of my main drivers, especially if it rains, one of my main drivers I feel like will mess up if it rains, I got Chris Buescher to slide right in. But the driver that I have winning this race, I was going back and forth with this. I was so dead set on Shane Van Gisbergen, but because it is Chicago, part of me feels like it's not going to be so simple. I do think SVG, I don't think he will have an issue. I think he will be able to finish the race without getting into a crash or anything like that. But I just feel like it's too easy to pick Michael McDowell. It could be that situation of, oh, just pick it. It's obvious. It's like 2 + 2 is 4. Don't even think about it. But I'm going to take the driver that's starting alongside him. I got Michael McDowell. I think he will take his 3rd checker flag of his Cup Series career and win at Chicago. 5th fastest in practice, was fastest in the 5 lap and 10 lap averages, starting in 2nd place. We know how insanely good he is on these road courses. Has the best average finish, tied with Ty Gibbs with a 6.0 here. I mean, everything is just looking too good for Michael McDowell, and I feel like Michael McDowell will take the checker flag and be the 13th different winner of 2025, and once again flip the playoff picture. But what are your thoughts on this race? Let me know in the comment section down below. As always, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more content. Until next time, my name is Jet from MDK. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see y'all tonight